We gathered in the library, the darkest room in the 10-room mansion that belonged to my grandfather. There were 7 of us in all. We were strangers to each other, but we would soon learn that we shared a genealogical relationship with each other, all but one of us. The man sitting next to me was my first cousin, Bruce. He was the son of grandfather's oldest son. He was quite distinguished and was in charge of a large shipping conglomerate in Pennsylvania. Although we never met, I knew a lot about him through stories told by my father. Bruce was considered the black sheep of the family. He met and fell in love with a girl from a poor family, and his father threatened to disown him if they got married. Love won over riches, and Bruce and his wife built up a successful business. Grandfather was a romantic himself and could not accept his son's decision. He supported Bruce and even gave him the money to start the business. Sitting next to Bruce was Samantha, the first daughter of Charlotte, and grandfather's first daughter. Her claim to fame was her lovely operatic voice. She had subsequently retired from the opera company and was living an uneventful life in a country house on the Jersey Shore. Charlotte not only had a voice to enchant, but she was compassionate. If she saw a child in need, she would make sure that everything was taken care of. One time she even offered a homeless woman her warm jacket on a bitter winter day. Yes, grandfather kept up and followed her career and her good deeds. The 2 women at the table were distant cousins on grandmother's side of the family. Their names were Rosie and Miranda. I had no knowledge of their existence until today. During our stay in the mansion, I was able to learn why grandfather felt that they were worthy of his estate. Rosie and Miranda were sisters, and the daughters of my Aunt Sybil. The sisters were both spinsters. When they reached an age where marriage was impossible, the sisters began advocating for seniors by helping them find affordable lodgings, jobs, and volunteer opportunities. Finally, the gentleman sitting in the last chair of the round table was Frederick Gordon. He was not related to us at all, but grandfather's trusted friend and confidant of 20 years. Frederick was always by grandfather's side, guarding any financial, social, or medical decisions made on his behalf. We all sat there quietly, not looking or saying anything to each other. The grandfather clock struck 1, reverberating a sharp grating sound, and the door to the library opened. A middle-aged man, very official-looking, entered the room and sat at the head of the table. "Good afternoon, my name is Archibald Tanner, Esquire. I was your grandfather's attorney, and I am the executor of his estate. As you probably already know, your grandfather recently passed away. Before he passed away, he was still in a reasonable state of mind and left a message for all of you." Mr. Tanner took out a video from his battery briefcase and inserted the cassette into the television. We waited in anticipation to learn our fate. The screen came to life and grandfather was sitting in a brown swivel chair, the same chair that Mr. Tanner was now sitting in. The sound of grandfather's voice hit me like a clap of thunder. "I would like to thank each of you for attending the reading of my last will and testament. I chose each one of you to be here because you have proven yourself to be the most honorable and trustworthy family members and friend. As you know, I built this house from the ground up. Our family was in the business of buying and selling silver and gold and investing it in the market. Then, we would teach others to do the same, so that they would make money. Your grandmother died prematurely and never got to enjoy what I built for her. Unfortunately, my children, your mothers or fathers, were very selfish and fought me tooth and nail for what they thought should rightly be theirs. For your compassion and unselfishness, each of you in this room will receive 1/7 of my estate. However, one of you will become the of this estate. For the next 24 hours, you will work together to find a bar of gold, hidden somewhere in this house. You will find many other treasures in the house, but it is the gold that will be a tool of wealth that will determine how much you will share. I have left you one clue as to its location. I built this house with my own 2 hands. Room by room, it was filled with silver and gold. Silver offers beauty and love to the house. But gold is timeless, as is its value. The first one of you to find the gold bar will become the new executor of this house. As executor, you will distribute the funds equally, and Mr. Tanner will help you manage the funds, and then resign as the current executor. The first room we explored was the kitchen. We were mesmerized by the authentic Gothic design. The cabinets were a dark cherry wood and filled with the finest china and etched in gold. There was a line of shelves filled with spices in and crystal jars. The furniture was scarce, with matching wood tables and chairs. The wood-burning fireplace in the corner of the room lended to its authenticity and charm. While there was lots of gold and silver in the room, the gold bar was absent. We went from room to room, searching for the prize, coming up with no clue at all. It was almost midnight when we decided to turn in, and we all agreed that we would spend the next day checking out the gardens, the gazebo, and the greenhouse. I was very restless and could not sleep, so I decided to go into the kitchen and make myself a hot cup of tea. Before I returned to the bedroom, I entered the library. I loved this room the most because I loved to read and remember when grandfather would sit in his brown swivel chair with me upon his lap. I started to examine the books on the shelves, to see if the books he read to me were still there when I jumped at the loud sound of the grandfather clock booming in my ear. As I jumped at the sound, I saw a golden flash of light as the chime hit the sides. It was then that I had the answer to grandfather's clue. The gold bar was hidden in the grandfather clock. I ran quickly to get the others together, and we returned to the library. Mr. Tanner and Frederick opened the grandfather clock, and here it was, a beautiful bar of gold with not a flaw. I became the executor of the most beautiful Gothic home in the world. Every year on October 31st, the 7 of us gather together in celebration.